a voodoo
Sam
doll.
Bradford doll.
Jeez.
Good
Wow.
grief. Joining us now, a man who very much enjoyed that BYU-Oklahoma game. As a member of, I believe, where were you playing in the NFL, David Nixon, at that point?
Oakland Raiders.
The Oakland Raiders,
Raiders.
At that point. Watching from your lofty NFL position. He's now at his lofty position in Studio B. Good to have you back, man.
Hey, always a pleasure. I usually do call-ins, and I feel like you guys don't like to see me in person. You don't like to see the face. So, I decided today, if I'm going to get on the show, I'm coming in person today.
Yeah, baby. That's what Blaine's been doing. He moved down here. Taysom Hill changed his jersey number. We'll get to that more in a minute, but what do you think of the Kevin Federick Motor City Bowl jersey? I don't really fill it out.
Yeah,
I need some pads.
Yeah, you need pads and muscles. That's all you need. other than that, you look great.
I just want to point out that he got beat up in this jersey, by the way.
not the best karma right now, but
no,
yeah.
I don't even know why I bought this in high school.
It's a number 7 jersey. It's fantastic.
That's all it is,
It's
basically.
a number 7. Who
Kevin
cares
Federick?
what game it was? It's just a number 7
We
BYU
lost that to
jersey.
Marshall 20-3.
All right, David, as a Texas native and a star on BYU's Countdown to Kickoff, we're going to ask you to put on your football analyst hat and talk about the Big 12 a little bit. Oklahoma President David Boren essentially pumped the brakes yesterday. What was your reaction when you heard about what came out of that OU Board of Regents meeting?
Well, prior to that meeting, I felt like it was full speed ahead. I mean, it was going to happen. It was almost a surety that they were going to expand and BYU was going to be a part of it, right? But then, yesterday you see the meeting, you see the comments that he came out that said, if we expand, who knows if there is an expansion. So definitely pumping the brakes. I think he probably maybe got his hand slapped by the other, the Board of Regents there at Oklahoma and probably some of the other schools. But, hey, if you're a BYU fan, when you're sending David Boren that care package, I think you just send him a thank you card. I'm just saying thank you for bringing up the topic. Thank you for being on BYU's side. I mean, send him some chocolates. This guy is definitely, lobbying for an expansion, which I think positions BYU perfectly for getting in. And there's no question this is the right move, and this is what all BYU fans want. But I think with the past of what's gone on the last few years with this expansion talk, I think a lot of BYU fans are just saying, hey, let me know when this thing's wrapped up, if there is some news. In the meantime, the back and forth and Boren getting excited and having to pump the brakes, let them do their thing, and eventually we'll find out.
Where do you stand on that? Because Spencer and Jason, and I'm not sure with Brian, they're in the tell me everything.
Whoa.
And
Don't put me on par with Jason Shepard in this category.
And then, okay, so what are you then?
I'm not thriving on, what did he say? I'm living on
My
every word
self-esteem
or
is
so
tied
myself.
to that.
Good grief. I'm intrigued by it, but I'm not Jason Shepard.
I'm not intrigued in any way until there's action. Like, it's just Green Day. Wake me up when September. Wake me up when expansion talk ends, right? Where do you sit in this?
I'm probably in the middle. Here's the thing. I enjoyed the talk, right? And if nothing comes of it, at least, once again, national media is talking about BYU. And you see that, Feinbaum and other guys are saying, yeah, BYU belongs in a Big 12. They belong in a P5. And so if nothing comes of it, at least, once again, you're getting exposure, right? And at the end of the day, for BYU, it's all about getting exposure, with the end goal, hopefully, of that exposure getting to a P5. But even if it doesn't, good media, media is good media, right? And good publicity. So you kind of accept it. So I'm kind of in the middle. While maybe nothing happens, at the same time, you're getting that nice exposure.
And it's May, and it's nice to have something else to talk about.
Yes.
From this position.
When the NBA playoffs are winding down and there's no football, there's not really basketball.
Dog days, baby.
Oh man, this is when you got to grind. You dig in and you just got to grind.
You just play a lot of golf.
A ton of golf. Yes, to just let your mind just ease. Yes.
Everybody's got to do something to pass the time, right?
Have to. And golf is a great way to do that.
Absolutely. Joining us now in Studio B is David Nixon, former NFL and BYU linebacker and College Station, Texas native, Big 12 country for a while, but now it's SEC country. But you grew up in the Big 12, that whole dynamic. Does BYU fit in that conference?
I think it does. You go back to the days when I grew up there, like you said, in the Big 12. There was no TCU, right? There's no West Virginia, so it truly was a true Big 12 conference. It was that Oklahoma, kind of up to that belt, right? Now they've expanded quite a bit, and I think that has allowed the possibility of a BYU sneaking in. I think 8-10 years ago, no, I think BYU would not have been a fit. But now with the way that the conference has expanded east and possibly looking to get into the markets here in the West, I think BYU is a great fit. And there was mention that 25 schools, had showed interest in getting to the Big 12. I think BYU has to be up there in the top 3 of schools that are probably the most intriguing for a Big 12 to capture. And, I think they belong there. I think they've shown playing against Texas in the past and what they did there. Playing Oklahoma, as we're seeing highlights right now. I mean, they belong in the Big 12. It's just a question of convincing the rest of the presidents and the rest of the group that they do.
Yeah, they need to feel they need to do it, and that is not right now, as we've discovered yesterday. How do you get $15 million to Texas in revenue if you take away the Longhorn Network and whatnot? So it feels like they will expand, and it'll be a matter of time before BYU's maybe in there. I'm leaning that direction. When do you think they will expand, though? Because it doesn't seem like it will be this year, which wouldn't kick in until next year.
Well, we had this talk last year, right? We said, hey, I think every year. Really, I think you really will have it every year. And once again, I think it all is dictated upon, can they get a team in that playoff consistently? If they keep getting shut out and they only hit the playoff one every 3 years or 4 years, I think the expansion talk will come around every single year. And as these university presidents continue to roll and the commissioner, there's change up in the commissioners, I think you'll continue to see this be brought up and different minds come in. And, you see Texas's new AD and president. They're much different than the old president and AD, and the fact that you hear the reports of them being very receptive and they kind of listen and they don't really jump to conclusions quickly. And so I think as presidents and things roll, you'll have different perspectives come in, and eventually everyone will get on board. And it's, like I said, eventually whenever they're not getting a team into the playoff, I think they realize, look, the only way is to have that championship game for the conference. And hopefully that will propel one of our guys into the playoff.
Not just a 4 to 5% better chance. Those were the words of Bob Bowlesby at one point. And Jeremy was like, is it 4 or 5? Which is a good question. It's more like 10 to 15% is what we have learned. So significant increase based on the 40,000 simulations.
40,000 simulations, Spencer.
Yes, that were compiled by Navigate Research.
It's so nerdy. I love it. Coming from a nerd.
I just think of the scientist on The Simpsons.
Yes,
exactly.
Bart.
It's that guy. That guy did the 40,000 simulation.
With David Nixon in Studio B, Jerem is wearing his number 7 jersey today, and we've been having some fun with that. Throwback to Kevin Federick in the Motor City Bowl.
More me than the jersey, unfortunately.
But in all seriousness, Taysom Hill changing his jersey number to 7 to honor his brother Dexter, who recently passed away. When you first heard that, what was your reaction to number 7, Taysom Hill?
Awesome. Absolutely awesome. And I don't think there's a better way you could honor your late brother than sporting his number that he wore all throughout college and he played college football with. And I know Taysom and Dexter had a very tight relationship, very close relationship. And so I know this is one of those ways that he can step on the field every day, because every day, even at practice, you're wearing that number on your chest. It's above your locker every day when you go to your locker. So it's a number that he'll be able to keep close to him, and I'm pumped for him. I think it's a great move, and I hope fans respect it, obviously, and I think they will. But I think it'll be something that he can use as motivation definitely throughout the season.
Fred Warner is the one that benefits from this the most, because now he is just the number 4 that isn't Taysom Hill.
So now Taysom Hill's not making tackles on defense. Is that that helps out a little bit.
And in the BYU store, they have some Fred Warner stuff, subtly, right, as well.
Yeah, maybe Fred paid him off a little bit. Or something. Who knows?
That stipend, yeah. When you look at what Taysom Hill brings back next year, how is his health? Because Chad Lewis said he thinks he'll be ready to rock by July, which was a surprise to us about a month ago.
Yeah, I see Taysom pretty often, and it's one of those things where we obviously chat about it quite a bit, and he's definitely progressing. I think it's one of those things where with that foot injury, and I've noticed it with my other brother-in-law, Craig Bills, who also has the same injury. It's one of those things where you'll feel great one day, and you wake up the next, and it's still got some soreness in there, right? But talking to Taysom, he said he could play. So
he's Captain America, dude.
And here's the thing: we've seen the past with his injuries, he comes back from them. I mean, he is ready by the time the season opens, and knowing Taysom, he will be ready. Hopefully he's 100%, but I think he'll be able to play on it. And the good thing about quarterback, while you do plan on that foot when you drop back, it's not as much as a linebacker or a DB where you're the entire time you're planning on it. You go back to John Beck. I remember my sophomore year, he had 2 high ankle sprains, and he was still able to play on both those. And you take those high ankle sprains, you put them in any other position, nobody could play on them, right? But quarterback, you don't have to be as mobile. So, I think he'll be ready. It's just one of those tough injuries. I don't think it's one where you feel better. You get better and better every day. I think there's some setbacks along the way, and all of it depends on how hard you push it.
he's been such an unbelievable athlete at BYU, yet he's had 3 injuries that have really changed his career. Are you afraid that he'll get hurt again in any way? Because I think that's BYU fans. That is their greatest fear, is that we can't see Taysom Hill in a senior year, full year, like 2013. He's just capable of so much. I'm
not, and I know he's not. You can't be afraid, right? I mean, and we talk about this as football players all the time. If you're afraid of getting hurt and you step on that field, you will get hurt. And the second that you're playing tentatively, you're gonna get rolled up on, or something's gonna happen. You have to be going full speed all the time. And so I'm not worried. I mean, at the end of the day, you've got to go out there and just play ball. And I know that's his mentality as well. But at the same time, you look at all those injuries; they're all freak injuries. These weren't pulling a hamstring or tearing a muscle,
ankle sprain.
Yeah, 2 of them were just like blatant impact.
Exactly.
Just there's been 3 of them, so part of me is hesitant to embrace like, hey, Taysom Hill's back, full year. I'm just kind of scared of that.
I think that I agree. I think there are a lot of people that are hesitant to get super excited, right? Because they've gotten excited in seasons past and their hopes and dreams have been shattered, right? But I think this year you go into it, you know that if he does get hurt, which hopefully he doesn't, definitely, you've got a capable backup, right?
Maybe that's why the feeling is a little different, because Tanner Mangum is here as well. Whereas in the past it was like, we don't know what Christian Stewart can do.
Exactly.
Right?
Taysom Hill is a royal blue Porsche 911 that's been in a couple of significant accidents, and he's been taken to the body shop. And we're hoping he comes back full speed.
You're hesitant in buying that car. You know what I mean? Like you might buy it, but there's some hesitation there.
But it still runs. It still runs.
Still a high performance vehicle.
The engine still runs perfect.
Yeah, let's go, man.
So what is Tanner Mangum?
Tanner Mangum is a Lexus sedan with all the bells and whistles. Laid back, but
and that here in the next couple of years you'll put on the spoiler, and then it's all souped up. So eventually has everything you need.
How do we not have a nickname for these two that is Idaho-centric, by the way? I was thinking about this. Because we have 2 dudes from Idaho.
Well, wasn't Taysom at one point dubbed the potato gun?
Yeah.
Okay, his arm anyway.
Taters.
Taters. I think we need some name for both that is Idaho-centric.
I think the reason there's not a name is because
the Spud brothers.
We don't want them to have a name about Idaho.
Hey, I was born in Mountain Home, Idaho, man.
All the more reason.
The 3 of us.
David Nixon with us in Studio B. I believe Chad Lewis used the word accoutrement, as in Taysom Hill will have his entire accoutrement or full accoutrement of weapons.
The biggest word ever used.
Yes. I was like, wow, that is a big word. Which essentially means all the bells and whistles and the trappings of that goes along in his game. He said by July. Like, do you really think that he'll be 100% by July?
I don't know. I don't know. That's a bold statement. We should have on countdown to kickoff and have him make a bold statement.
Bold prediction.
Yeah. I think like I said, I see him pretty often. We golf quite a bit together. He's moving on it fine. It's just a question of, can he continue to get better, in the sense that hopefully there's no setbacks. If there's a setback, July could be a tough date to hit. I think he'll definitely be ready by the opener.
And that's all that matters.
And that's definitely all that matters. And, getting him there during fall ball, getting during the practices 2 days is important, so he can get, especially with the new system, with his receivers being out there throwing with them. But at the end of the day, like you said, have him ready for the kickoff is against Arizona is the main issue at the hand. So.
Could you have tackled him in the open field in your prime?
100%. I would have taken him all day long, and I let him know that every time I see him.
And finally, who's a better golfer?
Between me and Taysom?
Yeah.
Well, when he gives me like 15 strokes,
You're
a better golfer. I'm a better golfer.
There you go.
Yeah.
That dude can play.
He can.
Quarterbacks, they can always play golf. It's crazy.
See, and that's what we talk about. The quarterbacks, their throwing motion translates directly into the golf game. Linebackers, our hitting motion actually translates in the golf game, but nice slices is kind of what happens. So
hey, you can hit the ball far. I've played golf with you before.
You can hit it far, just not straight, which who cares, right?
That's my motto.
David, good luck in your next round of golf. Hit them well, and we appreciate the time, man.
Yeah, always a pleasure, guys. Thanks.
Our Twitter question today, what would you include in your unofficial